disaster preparedness begins at home. And as home, I mean here in my office with my team, because they're my home. They're my people.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz. I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host. And on today's episode, we are joined by three incredible women in the vacation rental industry, and they are making waves here, guys. Rachele Hobbs, Sue Jones, and April Burns. Rachele's the CEO of Hobbs Realty, and she's been instrumental in transforming the company into a leading force in the vacation rental market, driving innovation in her systems and her processes. Now, Sue is the founder of HR4VR. We've had her on before. You guys will recognize her name. She is revolutionizing the way we do human resources in the vacation rental industry. She offers specialized support to property managers, and everybody adores her. I'm just saying, okay? So she helps people navigate the complex parts of property management. Now, meanwhile, April is a senior account executive at Intercoastal Net Designs. Everybody knows April. She's been here forever too. She is not only enhancing the vacation rental market and website strategies, but she's also creating a strong team culture through her role, guys, get this, as director of fun. So
Right.
Together they embody the spirit of hospitality heroes, each dedicated to improving the guest experience, elevating your business practices, guys, and making the vacation rental industry better for both owners and guests. Welcome, Rachele, Sue, and April.
Great.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited about today. We're going to start with April. April, tell me, what are we talking about with Hospitality Heroes? What is this?
Yeah, so we're excited. Thank you so much for having us on. So today we're excited to introduce Hospitality Heroes. This has been about 8 or 9 months in the making, and it all came from the Hurricane Helene hitting Western North Carolina. That's where I'm from originally. So after it hit, being able to get there and help provide supplies and just assistance with people that really needed it, it just really hit my heart to where I knew that this was my passion and something that I really wanted to focus on. And then I contacted Sue and said, I have this crazy idea. Am I crazy? I looked at the vacation rental space and the hospitality space and realized that there really isn't a company out there that is providing support with preparation, planning, preparing for a natural disaster, and then recovery from a natural disaster. And I felt that this would be a great thing that we could do. And then we have the queen of hospitality, Rachele. We called her up and she was like, I'm in. So it didn't even take long for her to join us, but so excited that we've got this launching. It is a nonprofit, so it is a 501c3, but we are super excited to be launching it. We're going to be taking donations and doing a raffle at the Vacation Rental Women's Summit coming up next month. And just overall, our goal is to be able to support an industry that we all love and to be able to provide assistance to the property managers as well as their employees and make sure that they have the support that they need during a time of a natural disaster.
Well, we're in the process of figuring it out, Lynell.
That's gospel.
Originally, we thought that partnering and really thinking about going directly to the employee. And then we've learned that we really need to partner with education with the property managers, helping them to provide the resources and the services for their employees. My tenure in the vacation rental industry has taken me through a lot of storms, but nothing as significant or severe as the last 3 years. And I want to make sure that we can provide resources to employees so they can stay and live in the area and be there for part of the recovery. And as we're looking at this, we're really looking at what can we start with from a pre-planning perspective? What kinds of things can we look at to make sure we're planning for the unexpected when it comes to taking care of our resources and our employees? And then really, what does it look like going through the event, but then post-recovery? So we're really starting right now with the education piece. And that's, from my perspective, where I see us somewhat kicking off.
So Rachele, as a property manager, how do you see this working? Tell me how it looks to you.
I think that was so interesting to me when April and Sue approached me. And my thought process was based on my own experience. So my own experience is disaster preparedness begins at home. And as home, I mean here in my office with my team, because they're my home, they're my people. And so for me, it was the conversation that we started with, how are we going to protect our communities and revitalize after things happen? So when you've had evacuation, how you take care of your people, make sure that they're taken care of so they can get back to my island to help me take care of the guests and take care of the vendors and the different people. So coming at it from an angle of property management, the first thing we wanted to do was make sure that our team was prepared. And if my team is prepared, then I know that I can prepare my properties. And then I know that my owners are taken care of because my team has a safe place to be during these type of things, and they have a safe way to get back and forth. We are a barrier island. And I know that may not be for everybody, may not be on a barrier island, but when disaster hits, it's like you're on your own, like you're in your own isolated barrier island. So the idea was to bring this education piece in this, let's forethought, let's think ahead. What could happen? How could I be prepared? How could I take care of my team? And how can I take care of my owners in conjunction with all of that? And I think that Sue and April just really hit it off with the education piece will start first. And then we'll be bringing in all the different knowledge-based resources and things that are in each area. And we'll do that hopefully with other property management companies, other hoteliers, other restaurants, different people in all across the hospitality industry that can come together in a community and that they can help the recovery part because they're the boots on the ground.
So what are we going to be preparing? We're going to do education. So we will educate how to handle a disaster when it happens. So we'll have our people prepared, our boots on the ground prepared. We'll have resources to employees like Sue's talking about. And we'll make sure that the team is prepared. What kinds of things do we need to do in our property management industry for the people listening out there? What kind of things can they do to help? Or if they have a disaster happening, what should they do?
Well, certainly, I think one of the things is reaching out if there are resources we can reach out to help with. I think one of the things we've learned is that once the disaster happens, until the recovery, there's that point of access of where are people at and what do they have access to. So if FEMA's bringing in water and they're bringing in different services, but can everybody access that? Or what kinds of things can we bring that would help? And we thought through a lot of different types of models and things. It's certainly going to be based on a large volunteer basis as we look to bring on volunteers and even having individuals or property managers or someone in hospitality who is kind of the point person in the community. But where we really want to start right off the bat is asking people if they know where their employees live, what do they need if there's a situation that comes up, what kinds of things do they need to be able to evacuate and be able to take care of their families and that. So a lot of things that we're trying to drill down into.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we originally looked at maybe doing something where we would go into an area and provide some type of supplies or something that maybe they needed. And then when we started really diving into it more, we realized that's a one-time gift. That's a one-time item. And they might not need it anymore, or they might hopefully not need it anymore. But what we wanted to do when we kept coming back to it was really educating people on what to do before a storm happens. So to the point of, where are your flood zones? Do you know where those are? Are your employees in there? Is there one between where your employees live versus where the property management company and the homes are? How are they going to get to work if that's the case? Or how can you support them if they're not able to get to work? And then from there, we decided, hey, if we're going to really get into education, let's do this. Let's get into not only helping them prepare for it by going in and talking to their employees about what their needs are, what their plans are, and then making sure that you have that clear communication, but also providing information real time. On our website, we have a map so where we could actually provide pins for each area so that way we can help give them information of where to go or who to access before, during, and after a crisis or natural disaster, because we want to make sure that we're bringing in all the resources so we're doing the homework for them. We don't want them to feel like, okay, now I've got to go to the government website. Now I've got to go to the state website. Now I have to go to my county website. we want to make sure we have all of that at their fingertips so then they have access to it, because it is a lot of work. And in some cases, you have limited access to electricity or internet. And so we want to make sure we're giving them everything they need as quickly as needed. And that's just to start, right, lady?
Just to start. Because we also realize that all disasters are not natural and weather related, that there's things that happen within your company that cause disasters. I mean, what if one of your employees has an accident or something happens? We want to be able to provide good common sense on how to care for your people. Because do you offer these types of insurance? Do you have a life insurance policy for your young employees? Do you have any type of disability related short term or long term? Do you have these offerings? And if you don't have them today, are you considering a 1 to 3 year plan so that you can grow these type of offerings? Because disasters come in all different shapes and sizes and forms. And sometimes they come in, I'm right-handed and I broke my wrist. And how am I going to manage to work because I can't work for the next 14 days? So how am I going to take care of my responsibilities as an employee? And so that it's also training for employers to be thoughtful of what is disaster. And it's not only weather related.
For sure, losing employees is very difficult.
Well, and especially in the hospitality arena, because a lot of these benefits and these services aren't available. And so we really want to try to work with keeping the hospitality individuals and the workers in the areas where there's jobs. And when something happens and there's not jobs, what can we do? What kinds of resources can we provide to ensure they will be there when the recovery comes back? And I also think, as we've talked, there's so much to learn, and there are so many individuals who have gone through these situations, and we really want to hear from people. We want to hear what their experiences were. What are things that they need that we can assist with?
Oh, that's excellent. So guys, if you are listening and you have feedback, how are they going to get that feedback to you guys?
Well, they could go to our website at hospitalityheroes.org, or they can reach out to any of us at our first name and then at hospitalityheroes.org to our email addresses. So we certainly love that. Have them reach out and connect with us and help provide that information. Our goal is to continue to grow this, is to be able to provide that resource of information, to be able to have real-time alerts once an app is built, to be able to really notify people, and then have people in your area being able to help communicate that. To then moving on to train the trainer, as I know that you mentioned earlier. And then eventually one day to being able to work with those property management companies to have those that might have large laundry facilities that can help store supplies and equipment and be that first person with boots on the ground to be able to provide those supplies for that community. We have lofty goals, but we certainly are excited for it. We know that they're achievable. We know that the hospitality industry as a whole needs it. That's why we chose hospitality and not particularly just vacation rental. We want everyone to be included. In fact, our website is made that anyone can go on to it, and we'll add the pin for now, but hopefully one day they can go in and add the information and update it. But to be able to provide that to us, because we want anyone to be able to go in and click on their area, find access and information, and not feel like it's just for a particular group of people, because we want to support the community that helps support the property management companies whenever they're in their season.
That's awesome. Like, talk about lofty goals, yes, but you never get anywhere without lofty goals. You know that. We all know that in business. It doesn't happen unless we have those goals that we set. So what are some of the goals that you guys are looking to set for Hospitality Heroes?
Raising money.
My first thought was donation.
Okay. I was waiting for that. I didn't know whether you guys, you're a 501c3. And I was like, okay, are they looking for donations from people so they can get started in this so that it can help finance what you guys are doing as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think one of them, and April, maybe you might want to share a little about the app and things that we've been seeing. I think that's going to be a huge turning point for us if we can do something along those lines.
Yeah. So really our goal with that is we want to utilize people that are the best to provide information in their area. We don't want people to feel like it has to all come from us. We want to make sure we're making those connections. And part of that is to be able to build out an app. So obviously those donations will certainly help with that infrastructure so we can build out an app. So in real time, somebody could get an alert if it is notified of a natural disaster or a big event in their area that they need to be notified about. be able to have those layering on the map so then they can see where there is a floodplain. They can see where there might be areas or roads that impact or affected in their area. And to be able to grow it out from there, be able to provide, they can add photos of the area. So if they see fires or something going on that they want to be able to share with the community, they can do that. And we want this to be a crowdsourcing app where we are really working with people throughout the US to be able to provide information real time in their area, because we would love to have partners everywhere. But if we don't, we want someone to know that they could come in and be able to help add that information to us. Of course, we'll go through and make sure it's all verified and honest, true communication. But that is our goal. We want to be able to really provide this notification and experience, as well as then go into providing help support after that event occurs.
I think one of the other things too is looking for partnerships. We've had a lot of people submit their interest in partnering with us, whether it's from distribution to a holding place for supplies or providing excess supplies and inventory. So again, as we're getting this going and off the ground, there's a lot of interest, and we certainly want to work with as many partners and volunteers and others within the industry to help make this successful for hospitality workers.
I just want to add to that. One of the things we would really love to see is, so let's say that we have our property management companies offer housing. So if there's an evacuation or something in that area, it's an off season for them. They're able to step up and able to say, hey, we've got your housing we'll provide for you over the next 2 weeks. Us being a nonprofit, we can be able to help them write that off if they're not able to with their own accounting team. There's ways that we can assist them in that. And again, to provide that, because again, that means you're giving your employees the safety and security of housing, electricity, internet, all the things that they need. And in some ways, that means that they can still help continue to do their job, or also just make sure that their family feels secure.
And also another part that I would love to see us do is the partner job swap. Just like we did this during Hurricane Helene, when the vendors, people who had skills but could not work up there. There had to be other things done before the painters could paint. There had to be things done before people could do things. And so we had a couple of those groups come down here to the beach and work in the off season so that they could continue to have employment until their area was able to open back up. So there's so many ways to help. As creative as you can be, we would like to partner with that. As creative as you can think, we would love to hear and partner with people.
What if 3 days could change the way you do business? Streamline Summit 2025, SOAR, is your best chance to break through the limits, sharpen your strategy, and connect with the best in the vacation rental industry. Start by visiting streamlinesummit.com. From September 16th through the 18th at the Hyatt Regency Jacksonville Riverfront, you'll gain insights, tools, and partnerships that will take your business to the next level. Here's what's in store. On day one, kick things off with one-on-one meetings and a high-energy opening cocktail party. September 17th and 18th, we dive into expert-led sessions, cutting-edge strategies, and industry networking that will fuel your success. On the last night, we'll wrap it up with a closing party, because big ideas deserve a big celebration. The vacation rental industry is soaring to new heights, and this is your chance to rise with it. Don't stay grounded. Visit streamlinesummit.com and grab your ticket today. So if you guys out there have been in an area where you've had a natural disaster and you're struggling with things, we want to know the problems that you've had. You need to reach out and let these guys know, here are the problems we had. Here's what we have to do to overcome it. Or we haven't found an answer. Do you have ideas? I know that you guys out in Hawaii, you guys out in North Carolina, you guys over in California, you in Texas, just to think about just the most recent things that come to my heart. In property management, you're in a tourist vacation area. And when there's a disaster, there's a lot more that we struggle with aside from just lost revenue, which is a big part of it, of course, because it affects us so deeply. But if you guys have ideas, we'd love to hear them. So what are some of the needs that we have that property managers can reach out to now? You mentioned inventory storage, donations, the employees that are changing back and forth. What other types of things can you think of that property managers can help you with today?
If they have disaster recovery relief plans that they want to share, anything they have that people are using that's effectual, we are very interested in hearing about. And if they want to share that with us, we're very interested in that type of sharing.
One of the things I love about our industry is that everyone is willing to share. If you need a owner contract or a guest contract, whatever it might be, I've noticed that everyone's willing to open up and share those things. And so to that point, if you do have that disaster relief planning for your employees, please share that. We would love it. So then that way they can adapt it to their areas that best suits them and their team.
And I think for us too, just being that central repository that has that information down to the local community piece. Because even if you were looking at getting some funding for maybe a payroll grant or something during the recovery process or unemployment, or there were local things through the chambers or the Rotary, there's a lot of resources available. So there's number one, getting all the resources down to that local level, but also having some training that goes along with some of those resources. It's one thing to go and apply for a resource, but then you get to fill out that application. And that's just a nightmare in itself. So really having some helpful tools and getting people to the information they need right at that point in time that's most relevant to them.
I would say even, for the vendor suppliers, I mean, we want to support you as well. I mean, you've got, and in most circumstances, small companies that need help into really building out their own plan. Some of them might have remote workers. And so then that way they could have their team members step up and say, hey, if there is a natural disaster in this area or this area, these are going to be our key people. This would be your first steps of things that you need to do whenever something was to happen. So if it happened on the coast and you happen to be in Ohio, you could step up and then start answering calls or making sure you reach out to our team members and making sure they're okay. We actually got that great feedback from someone in Asheville that offered that's what they did. And I think those are some of the key elements, is just really overall being there to support them just as much as we are. Again, that's why we chose hospitality, because we're here really to service any of the companies.
I love the fact that you brought in that it's not just natural disasters and weather that's a problem. It's also business disasters. I can think of several people in the industry who are experts at business disasters as far as loss of data. I know, Rachele, you've gone through that. I know in the Outer Banks, they've gone through that, where you've lost all your data. How do you start? That would be great to have that as a part of the education. I mean, I think of all the disasters that we've gone through in the last however many years we've been in business. There's a lot of disasters that are completely outside of weather related.
Absolutely. And when you think about cyber and security, I mean, security is a huge one, especially with everybody working remotely. And when you think about one area goes down, and where do you cover for that? And part of it is really knowing where your people are at. I was with a company during 9/11 and I had 100 engineers out on the roads all over the US. And boy, I had to track them all down and figure out where they were and figure out how do we get them back when there's no transportation and no car rentals and no hotel rooms.
Wow.
So I think one of the big openings for us is to really make sure our hospitality workers and their employers know where they're at and have a way to reach out to them and know that we can account for people when these situations happen.
One of the things that I think is really important, and I think that this lends itself to natural disaster, but I didn't know this until a few years ago, and that is it's like 3 inches of water that you can drive through. That's it. If it's greater than 3 inches, you don't drive through that. I think Rachele may have some stories that relate to that.
I had no loss of life. I just had loss of vehicle from trying to get home here on the island in September. When Helene hit the mountains, we got a lot of water. So yeah, I did.
You should tell that story.
I was coming out of my office. I got all my employees home. It was terribly storming. And I have a dip. We're actually, 3 feet above sea level at my office. And so I had a dip. And when I drove down to go home, a big gust of wind brought a wave of water and just washed over the top of my car and went all the way through my engine, all the way to the back of the car and just drowned my car.
It did. It was so sad. But I didn't know that you couldn't drive. See, if I had thought...
I didn't know it was 3 inches of water. It didn't look like 3 inches of water. It looked like a puddle and I could see the road. So I didn't know.
Well, and I think someone in Asheville shared, wasn't it, April? If they get 5 inches of water, you know that there's going to be a flood somewhere,
A mudslide.
a mudslide.
Yeah, somewhere, you're right, up there right now. It's still going on, guys. It is still going on. I was there 2 weeks ago, and torrential rain and more mudslides still going on.
And Rio de Oso's going through that now, too, in New Mexico. But it is interesting when you get those little bit of nuggets, like 3 inches of water. Don't go further, but the same thing. Just know if it's happening really hard, there can be an impact somewhere down the line outside of your direct area.
The other thing I think we can think about, because when you think about education for this, guys, it's a rabbit hole that does not end. Think about this. So in my car today, and I'm in Dallas, where they do have flooding actually in Dallas. There is flooding, not in my area. In the car, my husband has this little tool and he keeps it there and it's in the middle and it's to cut off a safety belt and it's to break out the window. And I think about that and I think, you know what? I think that is such a great tool. And every time I get in, I think about the fact that it's there if I were to need it. And I think that emergency preparedness and disaster planning go hand in hand. So who knows, when you talk about lofty goals, how far you can plan, especially when you get other people involved. There'll be a lot of people that have different perspectives on what can be done. I love the fact that it's nonprofit.
I agree. I think that's why this education is so important. And I'm glad you brought up the little seatbelt thing, because I gave one to all of my family and I'm thinking, where is that in my car? Well, it's hidden in the bottom of the little bucket between the seats. So it's not visible. And if something were to happen, nobody knows where that is. So you just gave me a good tip. I'm going to put it out on the dashboard area.
I'm going to shout out to Justin Ford, too, who always has amazing ideas for safety. But I have to tell this story. I think it's very interesting. Rachele told me that I needed in my vacation rental house. Now, she's my manager. She's just the best ever. Got to tell you that. No kidding. She is like such saving grace for me. But in my kitchen, like there's this area that you could put a fire blanket. And this is a story that Justin told about having that fire blanket. If you don't have a fire blanket in your kitchen, regardless, everybody should have a fire blanket in their kitchen because it's for smothering fires, regardless. But there was literally feedback that came to the property manager that said that there weren't enough blankets for the people that were in the house. That's a true story. That is a totally true story.
So use a fire extinguisher too.
Maybe they're coming from the West Coast in the mountains when you're in the fires and you need the little
And they have
fire.
their own blankets. Yeah.
We need education. That's part of the education you guys are talking about with disaster recovery.
Knowledge saves lives. It does.
And I think I'll add too, like when I first started talking to Sue and Rachele about it, Sue connected me with a nonprofit company that she'd worked with. And talking to her, our very first conversation, what I appreciated is that she got the vision quickly, because she was like, the first thing we need to do is connect you with Elon Musk, and we need to get you Starlink phones so you guys can give them people. And I love the idea that she immediately saw that scale that we wanted to get to. We know we've got a long way to go, but we're very passionate about it. We're very focused on it. But the fact that they knew that is our ultimate goal, is to be able to provide those types of items to people, to be able to help them. Because if they can't get out or communicate or anything, I had a friend of mine that was in Western North Carolina, and her husband told me once they could get out about 10 days after Helene hit, all the news had stopped. So they walked out. They never even knew that anybody knew what happened or that Western North Carolina was even on the news, because it had already moved on in 10 days. But yet for 10 days, they were stuck in their area, their little house in their area, because they had trees down and things like that they had to get through. Imagine if they would have had a Starlink phone to be able to get to people, or whenever you do those drops of supplies, to be able to provide that with them. That they ended up doing that to a lot of people, and it helped save a lot of lives because people could call in because they were completely cut off.
One of the things that I'd like to see added to the education, this is just an idea. We don't just think about successes of things that were successful in disasters that we saw. We need to think about things that were not successful. Think about the fact, you're talking about Starlink, that there were government officials that would not let those go through. And so we need to think about who do we need to contact in those situations to make sure that governmentally wise, that those things are taken care of. And we should have those resources for people so that when that disaster happens, there's not this huge lack of knowledge of how to proceed. So when you think about bringing your ideas, think about bringing your ideas of things that didn't work so that we can find solutions for those for everybody that happens.
I love that. What are some of the roadblocks that get in the way? They're maybe unintended, but they do get in the way of getting through to the end in a positive manner.
That's right. Sharing the lessons that other people have learned through going through it.
Absolutely. I read something that just was shocking to me. And it was an epiphany, and it changed the way I thought about tackling problems. And that's, I love solving problems. I think we all do. But there was a restaurant, a Michelin star restaurant, that was like well known for everything they do well. And a group came in that wanted a Michelin star restaurant. They wanted to make theirs better. So they came in, and the person in charge said, I don't want you to look at everything they did well. I want you to look at the things that they didn't do well so that we can focus on making that happen. So I think when we look at tackling problems like this that are life-changing, they're world-changing for us, we have to look at what didn't work. And I think that there are so many people that we personally know that have walked through that we could actually reach out to and contact. If you know people that have gone through disasters, guys in property management, would you please reach out to them? I mean, because they may not hear this, but this Hospitality Heroes 501c3 is so important to our industry. I really think it can be industry changing and life changing for the people that are served by this 501c3. So if you know people that have gone through this, how about reach out to them and ask them to send their information or their stories or their whatever they have based on what they've gone through to April, Rachele, or Sue. And let's see if we can't make some changes that change the lives of people as well, for the better. In bad situations.
Exactly.
Hopefully for the better. Is there anything else you want property managers to know about this, or you want people to know?
Just that we love it. I mean, we're passionate about it. Hospitality is what I did for 20 years before I started working for IC&D. So it's something that's in my blood. It was just in the hotel side and hospitality training. And so it is something that we know that is so needed. And we want people to know that we're there and we can help provide this help and education as it goes. And then down the road, even more. So we have very lofty goals, but we are very passionate and dedicated to it.
And I love the ask for everyone who's out there and the property managers, any information they think is of value or anything they want to share with us. We're learning as we go through this. And we just want to make sure that we're providing the most up-to-date and providing this level of resource that is very meaningful to the people on the ground. We don't want to spin our wheels on something that's not going to be meaningful. We want to help you take care of these workers in the area.
In the words of somebody famous, ain't nobody got time for that. We don't have time to mess around. There's no time to mess around. So please open your pocketbooks, open your hearts, and open your knowledge base. And please share with April, Rachele, and Sue. And let's see if we can't do some things that really help the industry through this. We need your help. There's no one person, there is no three people that have all the knowledge we need to make this particular thing happen. They need you really today. And you said they could reach out to hospitalityheroes.com. Is that right?
.org.
.org. .org, guys. It's org. You could say free. I mean, it's 501c3, so it's a .org. Hospitalityheroes.org. Well, anybody have anything to add before we go?
No, we appreciate the support. I mean, we know it's so needed in our industry and just within everything going on. We'll say this real quick. I had somebody ask me one time, what are you going to do if there's no natural disasters? And I said, that would be the ultimate goal. We would welcome that with open arms because it would help us prepare people in the need that something does happen down the road. But listen, we just want to be here for those that have to go into it. But our ultimate goal would be for no natural disaster or crisis to happen.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to know that once a year, we could take our teams and we could go through the education that you have on the website, and it would help us to prepare for not just natural disasters, but for business disasters that happen so that it would be applicable to everyone, not just people who go through those. Because everyone goes through those. Everyone goes through business disasters. We've all gone through data loss. We've all gone through employee loss. And that short-term and long-term disability, that is such a lifesaver, not just for the employee, but for the employer, because then you could hire somebody. You don't have to have your resources going toward that employee. And you also don't have to leave them out in the lurch if you have that type of thing. So I love the fact that we're not just approaching it from a natural disaster, but this is business disasters as well. So
That's true, because we say the people behind the places deserve a plan. That's what we say.
Say that again.
The people behind the places deserve a plan.
Who said that?
That's our big why.
That's our why.
Oh,
We
I
say
love
that.
it.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
I love that. So that's your big why that's
Our big
awesome.
why.
That's like the basis for a mission statement to start there. The people behind the places deserve a plan.
That's exactly right. That's what got us launched.
That's right. That is exactly what launched us.
Well, I love this, and I love this time together. Thank you guys for all the time that you're putting in to make this happen. I really do appreciate that. Anything that I can do to help, I'm here. You have my heart. I love what you're doing. It's so needed in this industry. It really is. And so I hope someone donates software to you and all kinds of things that you might need to make this easier. Hopefully people will reach out and volunteer their time as well as their resources.
Thank you so much for having us on. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, some of my favorite people. I love you all. 3 days, game-changing insights, unlimited possibilities. Streamline Summit 2025 SOAR is where the future of vacation rental management takes flight. Secure your spot, sharpen your strategy, and connect with the best in the business. Visit streamlinesummit.com and register today. The industry is soaring. Will you rise with it?